This video contains spoilers for Acts 1 and 2 of Silksong.
Major Silksong Oversights.
Silksong is a pretty quirky game. For example, you might think this sign next to the flea caravan is indestructible, but if you push it all the way to the right and off this very small ledge, it will violently explode. Why? I don't know. Speaking of the flea caravan, this is Kratt. Once you've let him know that you don't appreciate his creeping, you'll be able to smack him around outside. This is great fun, and well deserved of course, but there are so many funny things you can do with this fellow that you might not know about. You can hit him all the way up to the right, although at some point you will be stopped by an invisible barrier. You can hit him down into these spikes and play Kratt tennis. See how long you can keep him on the spikes for, all tools allowed. You can throw him up into the air and then continue to pogo on him while he's airborne. You can sit on the bench just before Kratt lands in front of it to completely break the illusion of Hornet actually sitting on the bench. You can keep him afloat by continuously firing the rosary cannon. And you can get him stuck inside this cart spinning infinitely. Apparently he can get stuck like this in Greymoor too. What a silly guy. I have so many oversights I want to show you, so let's just keep them rolling. If you take damage while having your quick map open, the map will automatically be closed. That is, unless you're sitting on a bench, in which case you can let go of the quick map button right as you get hit, forcing the UI open while Hornet is allowed to move around as normal. Something's definitely not quite right here. Now taking damage won't close the quick map, although opening it again or crossing into another room will. However, there is another step you can take to break the UI even further. If you open your inventory while the glitch is active, then close it again, you'll now lose the actual map graphic. All you're left with is a hilariously unhelpful indicator of which area you're currently in and what is essentially Silksong but the lights are turned off. Sitting down or even opening the quick map doesn't reset the graphic. Hornet just kind of sits there looking at a blank piece of paper. It seems like enemies and benches just don't go very well together. Now, regrettably, and I must apologize for this, I went the entirety of the last episode without including a single oversight related to lifts or elevators. Well, that's about to change. 1. If you go into the corner of this room, you can trigger the top lift to go up even though you're still on the middle floor. 2. Activating a lift while there's an object attached to it will cause that object to float in mid-air. 3. Standing on top of this lift while it's descending makes Hornet bounce up and down like an absolute maniac. 4. Standing on top of this elevator while it's descending makes Hornet bounce up and down like an absolute maniac. 5. Throwing tacks inside a lift causes them to slide around as if the lift were made of ice. 6. Throwing tacks inside an elevator has multiple strange side effects, including making the tacks bounce around like crazy, getting the tacks stuck in the floor, and getting the tacks to clip out the bottom of the elevator. 7. Trying to enter this elevator at the wrong time can get you stuck in the wall. I thought this had been fixed, but apparently one of my viewers got it to work on the 2nd of January 2026. And finally, number 8. Placing a snare setter in a lift or an elevator will cause the snare to float in the air. I keep saying it, but I'm not sure you're fully grasping the severity of my words. Elevators are weird, man. But it's not just the elevators. It's that dang snare setter too. That's right, it's got more visual inconsistencies than you can shake a stick at. Come to think of it, that's probably why they take it away approximately 7 minutes after you find it. Almost like they're trying to say, Hornet, you probably shouldn't be using that thing. We didn't really design it to make any logical sense. No, Hornet, no, hey! You can make the snare float using this hallway, or by just placing it next to a ledge. You can make it clip through walls, or put it in front of foreground objects. Now, this one really doesn't make any sense. While we're on the subject of visual peculiarities, your shard and or rosary counter will sometimes get stuck at +0. When loading into a Steel Soul run, you'll sometimes see the crest icon start out as the normal red and then switch to grey after remembering you're actually a gamer. The body of the choir Cornhead changes when you steal his cloak for the cloaks of the choir Wish. When the cloak is snagged, you can see that the pattern at the bottom of his texture is now completely different. If you hold down the button to charge a needle strike while traveling by Ventrica Shuttle, you can see the particle effect of the charge briefly shown before it disappears. And finally, take a look at this clip.
What? Så du det?
Ja, hvad?
Den spawnede bare ind.
Gør den det?
Det var rent faktisk en major Silksong Oversight.
Oh my god.
I can't for the life of me tell you why this random bag just appears when Hornet breaks this pillar. Shout out to my brother for finding this one. This is not Freddy, by the way, it's my other brother who we haven't decided to name yet. He's older younger brother for the time being. And shout out to older younger brother for finding this next oversight too. He discovered that the hitbox of this trap actually reaches beneath the platform it's standing on, meaning it can be used to kill this flying enemy safely if triggered at the right time. Good job, brother. Looks like the oversight senses run in the family. Let's see what I can segue into. Let's call this segment Quirky Hitboxes. I've got a few of those. When you summon the Bell Beast to a Bellway, a temporary hitbox is created at the location where the beast is going to appear. Now, if you're using the Hunter crest, you can pogo this hitbox to gain height. I didn't test it for every other crest, but for Reaper and Wanderer this doesn't work. And even for another crest that turns Hornet into the pogo, the Beast crest, this also doesn't work. It reminded me of the first major Silksong Oversights episode where I discussed how the Hunter crest works differently to other crests when pogoing the rocks that fall during the 4th chorus fight. This seems to be supporting evidence for the hypothesis that the Hunter crest is simply built different. Here's how to make the corpse of this enemy float in mid-air. Here's a part of the map where you can catch a draft from the wrong side of the rock. You can see the hitbox of the stream reaching just slightly too far down, allowing for the animation of Hornet catching a draft to trigger for just a moment. And now for a few instances where you can pogo on nothing. After scaring away the Vault Keeper in some places. After freeing this flea in Underworks. After breaking this floor panel in Coral Chambers. And just by going to this spot in Weave Nest Central. And now, for perhaps the most incredible oversight I've discovered so far, and by I mean you. One of you found it, I just kinda stole it. The memory puzzle is people. How else do you explain these switches dropping organs when hit by the Architect crest? It's a slam dunk theory, really. The memory puzzles are actually alive, and Hornet is inflicting unspoken amounts of pain every time she hits them. So just remember, the next time you're screwing this puzzle up because you have the memory of a goldfish, you're a gosh darn monster. And that's all for today. If you know of any oversights I haven't covered yet, feel free to let me know down below. And if you'd like to see another episode, be sure to subscribe to the channel to let me know. I'm Holland, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.